You see, the youth of today are basically being trained in performance which will give them domination of some kind of perceived excellence over the rest, and each one is driven by this sense of performance. Okay, now this is happening from a very young age in school up until in college, right? And um it's become the be all and end all. Okay, whereas the real governing factor should be soul union, soul, soul union, right? Soul union basically means that you don't lead away from spirit, you lead into spirit. So there are a lot of people today, they are in jobs which they are doing because of the whole performance push that has been implanted, right?
Yeah.
They are in marriages or relationships which are the same, because it's a societal thing, and they want to look good and they need to look good, and so their house, their car, their spouse, their children going to a certain kind of school, it's all become like one big performance game, and that is why I feel young people are not happy. They are questioning, but they don't know what to question. Forget about what's the answer. They don't even know what to question.
Right.
You can't, question a system which has been systemically implanted literally in your subconscious. So there's a lot of meaninglessness that is happening. You see, there's a lot of meaninglessness, there's a hollowness to everything, and it's not something which reduces, it's something which increases within. The hollowness just increases. Can you put him in his cage and just take him out, please? Or you put him in the cage outside, that bigger one. Thank you. So the hollowness increases, and people are looking for meaning. They don't understand that we are not integrated. We are not integrated within ourselves, and integration only happens when we are truthful with ourselves, and in our entire interactivity with anything and anyone, we are going from that perspective of truth. We cannot integrate a lie knowing that it is a lie. We cannot integrate a lie into our energetic form. A lot of times, from the performance perspective, the psychology guides us to pick up on a certain job or a certain relationship or a certain neighborhood, okay? And we introduce that into our energetic form, which is all about integration. So our energetic form has too much discordant notes in it. It has too much discordant notes, right? We are living in a kind of cognitive dissonance. What is cognitive dissonance? Cognitive dissonance is when you don't want to deal with the elephant in the room. You don't even want to know that there's an elephant in the room. Okay? You don't want to see the elephant in the room. You are in a state of complete denial. Okay, but it's not as rough as this, that in a state of complete denial. It's basically you don't want to see something, don't want to acknowledge its existence. Okay, because it's too much trouble. Okay, so that's how basically humanity is just grinding forward in a very sad state. Okay,
Yeah.
and all these social media platforms are channels where people are celebrating faking meaningfulness. They're celebrating fake meaningfulness. Okay, whether it is going to some exotic place, whether it is having fun at a party, all of that. Rarely is it authentic. Authenticity can only come when you're living your truth in that moment and it gets arrested somehow as a photo or as a recording or whatever.
But
Right?
how do you know what your truth is?
You see, knowing from the academic perspective is a very different thing, and knowing from an intuitive perspective is a very different thing. Right? That which feels right, that which feels right in the marrow of your bones is your truth. That which feels right because it's you are being placed on some kind of social pedestal need not be the truth. It is a conjured truth, it is somebody else's truth, right? So the main objective here is to be integrated and be very aware that our uh, that our you know truth is in active awareness. Okay, and that whatever we are doing is from that perspective and not from the perspective of performance. Okay, and that we have to know the role of psychology, right, which is introducing discordant notes through occupation, through social media feed, through relationships, which have been which have entered through the door of performance, okay, into our energy space of integration, and this cannot be integrated. These are the discordant notes that we introduce into our energy body, and we walk around with these appendages of um, unintegrated energy splinters, wounding our energy form. Okay, and then through that we try somehow to find sense and meaning in the matrix world through action. How can action ever be correct if you're not integrated, if you're not in your truth, if it is not your spirit that is guiding you, but it is your mind, your psychology, which is completely governed by performance? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically, integration is something that young people today should be very, very aware of.
I just want to come back to the truth wala, the thing that you talked about. And I want to ask, once truth, like, if this feels right in the moment, then in the next moment, something else can feel right. So, if it keeps changing like this, is that
No,
really your
no,
truth, or
that
is that
basically
just...
means
mean you're
That
confused?
no, that basically means that you could be either in a state of complete mental capture, mind driven, okay, which is performance driven, or you are breaking out of your mental captivity, okay, and you're going towards some kind of a resolution towards becoming authentic and integrated in your truth, which means that the previous stuff which you were entertaining as interesting or you know something that you could do, now it doesn't hold the same meaning because you're evolving. A lot of young people today, they want to do this course today in their graduation or post graduation or whatever, and then they may just jump to something completely different tomorrow. Now again, it could be evolutionary or it could be just again performance driven. I think we have to ask ourselves that what is the driving factor? Is it performance, appreciation, a need for appreciation, or is it being really true and honest to yourself? If you're really true and honest to yourself, you will evolve, okay, and the previous will dissolve. You're going from gross to subtle, okay. But if you are just jumping from one lily pad of performance based appreciation seeking uh, mind, okay, to the next lily pad, you know, it's a life of confusion, and it's a life of you know people, young people, they do their education here maybe from a decent college and they go to the United States, right? They go to a good college there. This is a lily pad approach. Why? Because they're only seeking performance, appreciation, you know, material security, or some kind of feeling of I have dominated my peers, through performance. I'm better off. Okay, that whole comparison problem that is in young people, the need to prove your worth through the eyes of the others. We are outsourcing our happiness, we are outsourcing our wisdom, okay? We are just very secondary, we are living very secondary lives, okay? And socially, it's being called successful, which is the problem.
So how do you differentiate between the two if you're, doing the lily pad
Or you're evolving.
thing or you're evolving?
I think maybe the thing would be is that there's a constant. Like whatever you're doing, there is a constant. It's not like you're going from one thing or another, you're going up and down like this. That is also fine, but then you come back to a constant. You're coming back to a constant state of.
I think how we can differentiate is mainly by something very simple. You're not fearful.
Yeah.
The fear is on a reduction scale. You understand? Even though you are in as much unknown and uncertainty as you ever were before, you were trying to
More than
find
ever, yeah.
certainty in an uncertain world, and you were doing it by trying to create a roadmap for yourself, right?
Right.
Okay? And it's a roadmap which is based on performance. But the thing is that there's always fear, there's always insecurity, there's always comparison, there's a lack of integration that is guiding you. Okay? You're being strung along by societal diktat. But when you integrate, when you become one with yourself, okay, there is no external influence, pressure, need for appreciation, anything that much, okay. you become much more integrated, and young people need to find that space. They need to find that space. Okay, they are very lost in a lost world, and which is very sad because we have so many young people in India, right? That's important.